All right, the Fantastic Four. This movie was kind of everything I was hoping it would be. And that is both a good and not bad's not the word. It's more so just it surprised me, but in story purposes, not so much in typically how the MCU surprises you, and I like that. This movie is very different from its MCU counterparts, and feels like it gives me an idea of the direction that Feige wants this to go. Maybe not the best indicator for what the Avengers movies are going to look like, but definitely for what after Secret Wars might look like, which is a much more fantastical movie, fantastical universe, pun intended. Now I did this for the Superman movie, so I'll just jump into the rating first. I haven't had too much time to ponder it. I gave Superman like an 8 out of 10. This one, I think for different reasons, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. That feels good. That feels good. I think there's some things about this movie that I genuinely don't think are for me, but I can't deny make this a good movie. The movie makes choices that you will be like, oh, it'd be so cool if this happened, but it kind of reminds you who you're watching, and that doesn't really make as much sense. So going into this, non-spoiler, yeah, it's a 9 out of 10, mostly because in contrast, and I'm not going to do this comparison, but in contrast where I feel like the energies and the vibes of Superman, I came out and was like, wow, the performances and everything, I think a lot of that goes into this movie as well. The performances, the energy, like the vibes, right? The vibes of this movie are very good. They're very, very good. Are they as good as Superman? I think they're not my preference as much as Superman. Superman makes me still think, damn, I want to be a good person, and I want to be happy and kind to people. It's a weird thing. You know, I felt inspired coming out of Superman, and this one I felt like that was cool. Like this one I felt like, whoa, that was an adventure. Fun note, it's not a spoiler, but the universe number for this universe is 828, which is a reference to Jack Kirby's birthday, which I was not aware of, but that was a very cool touch because this is riddled with Jack Kirby stuff. And if you don't know, Jack Kirby is the illustrator or like the artist. Obviously Stan Lee and him are credited for these characters more than just this character, but yeah, Stan is responsible for a lot of the main guys that we're aware of, right? Like the Spider-Man and Hulk and the Fantastic Four and Iron Man. You know, we know all these characters, but that's because of Stan Lee, and obviously everyone knows that. But Jack Kirby is a very important part of this because these characters, some of them are like Jack's like kids, dude. You know, like there's like, especially if you look at character like the Silver Surfer. Obviously these are all like word of mouth, but generally speaking, the idea, if you go into it, and I haven't researched this in depthly, but this is generally the consensus amongst people that actually are really deep in the comic industry and understand this. The general idea back then was that Jack was almost kind of drawing things that Stan would not give him too much information on. Like he would have the basis of the script and, you know, how the dialogue would go, but Jack Kirby would take it a step further. So a character like Silver Surfer, he would give him his name, which was not Silver Surfer, but he would give him his actual name. And in this movie, I believe the name is the same, mostly because there would be no gender indication for this name, and it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. So I really loved Silver Surfer in this movie. Awesome, amazing. I wish I could go into detail, but I can't for this portion. But there's the Silver Surfer's really cool in this movie, and all of them are really cool, but the dynamic and the impression and the impact Surfer has is really imposing and cool, and it's exactly what I wanted from it. Harold and Surfer's kind of a chill character, and that's how Jack like kind of drew him, right? But like almost not dystopian, but like it's like utopian, because when you look at it, like Surfer looks like super, almost like, and I'm not a huge Star Trek guy, right? But like almost kind of like Trekkie, where he's like this perfect being, or like this wondrous being that you look at that seems like they're kind of perfect, but they're troubled, and they're imposing and they're powerful. You don't really get it. And that's the point, is that they're supposed to be unknown and weird and wonderful. And that's what Galactus is, and Surfer is, who are the big parts of this movie and the whole thing, basically, of this plot. So they're done immensely well in two different ways. I think Galactus is incredibly imposing and threatening, but wondrous in a weird way, but more inevitable, right? Like, to use the Thanos terms. But oh, dude, the humanity, quote unquote humanity, that you feel out of the Surfer is so cool. And then the family dynamics, I was thinking about this, touching away from the villains, because I don't want to spend too much time on this, going to the main cast, Fantastic Four. Obviously you see in the trailers and everything that there's a baby, Sue and Reed have a child, and he's a big part of the movie, because, kind of a plot caveat, if you know anything about the Fantastic Four, I'm not going to go into it, but their son is a very big part of the Fantastic Four, especially Galactus. That is not a secret. That is something that is like riddled around. The kid is in the movie, and if you know anything about these characters, that's very important. Why Galactus is here, how he kind of works. He wants to eat the planet, but there's a relation going on. I can't really touch on it any more than that, but really, really cool. Handled it so well. And I was thinking this when I was on the way back home, and I was like, damn, every single one of the characters, all the relationships, they had a one-on-one, whether it was Reed with every single one of them, whether it was Johnny with every single one of them, whether it was Ben with every single one of them, whether it was Sue with every single one of them. Each of them had like a relationship through one or two scenes when they're all together, and one scene individually amongst themselves. It was just cool. It was cool, especially since each of them had their own like sort of motivations within not motivations, but side story, right? Like things that we're working on, things that we're trying to like think about, and when push comes to shove and the switch clicks and you're like, oh my god, they're screwed, they work together and they find a way out of there. And man, the strength of Sue Storm in this interpretation is and the resilience that Reed Richards has. I love Pedro Pascal, but I'm going to put him aside as an actor in terms of who he is as a person, because lovable actor, lovable person, fair enough. He's an amazing personality, but man, seeing Reed give me a problem solved, right, in situations where I was like, they're screwed. I genuinely, knowing these characters so well, I was like, no, they're screwed. They're screwed, because it was like the narrative was making me think, because I know Doomsday is after this. I'm like, maybe they screw up. They gotta screw up, and there's this moments here, and they screw up a lot. I'm gonna tell you right now, but Reed finds ways to make things work, and I can't go into details outside of that, but there are moments I'm like, damn, they screw up, and I'm like, no, wait, he's come up with an idea. But yeah, Sue Storm is so strong in this movie, so I really appreciate that. And the other two, I mean, it goes without saying, the other two are so popular, but man, I love Johnny in this movie. There's a specific scene I will not go into until I talk about the spoiler part of the review, but man, he was so much fun in that scene, and it paid off. It paid off, because he's doing his thing and you're thinking, yeah, and then it really pays off. You're like, wow, they wrote this so well. So all I'll say is 9 out of 10, because the writing really carried it. Like, as in, like, sorry, the writing is like, it's like Surfer Surfboard. It guided it. You know what I mean? Like, the performances were just as amazing, the vibes were just as good, but the surfboard really took it. And the last thing I'll say is, I have not felt a more comic booky movie from the MCU since the first Iron Man movie and the first Captain America movie. Those two movies are the only movies that made me feel like this is more comic booky, And the other movies, very much so. Even the first Avengers was okay. It was like half and half of like that feeling. All of them have felt very like Ultimates. Like it's very much more grounded universe in terms of these Marvel characters. If you know anything about the comic books, you know the Ultimate Universe is kind of, yeah, that makes sense. It's been that way for years, but we kind of forget from time to time. Endgame, I know people are gonna throw that hat in, in and say like, well, Endgame was that time travel and all that stuff, but even then you can see them getting a little like, they held it back, they didn't try to get too weird. This one, they got weird. They got a little weird. They were like, "Ooh, we're gonna see things, and you're not gonna answer. We're not gonna give you answers." Eternals was also like that, but Eternals didn't do well. This one, I'm like, this. That's amazing. That was a long non-spoiler review, but I'm gonna move on to spoilers. Hope you guys enjoy the movie. I also got a little trinket, which is cool. I haven't even opened this thing yet, but it was fun. Yeah, the movie was great, so I hope you guys enjoy it. All right. Now, on to spoilers. It took me 11 minutes. I'm going to make this kind of quick. I think most of my points can just carry over. The only things I want to touch on is, obviously, Doctor Doom doesn't show up until the post-credit scene. I was genuinely thinking, now, obviously, during the council meeting with Sue and everything, when they're talking, Latveria is not there. Latveria is noticeably absent, and I was like, oh, so Doom is real. Like, as in, like, Doom is here. Like, Doom is this Doom. That's what I've gathered, basically. And from Sue's reaction when he's interacting with Franklin, it's pretty obvious. I don't know why I did this. It was kind of like, because he's, if you know anything about Doom, Doom is very, like, he has a soft spot for the Richards, like the kids, right? For the kids, especially, I said kids plural. Obviously, they only have one, but the second one is a very important one for Doom specifically. I have a theory in my head as to how she might get introduced. It's a bit of a long shot, I'll be honest, and I don't know how people would feel about it. I don't think they're going to go that direction, but part of me thinks because of how important she is, because Doom is Valeria, I believe is her name. It's been a while. He's her godfather. And I think it'd be weird but interesting if maybe there's something they will do with Secret Wars, or maybe they'll change it slightly. Because Franklin's a little older, and that would be weird, right? Like, oh, how do you catch that up? So Secret Wars may change that stuff, but because how impactful the Sue and Reed having a kid is, I don't imagine they would just do it out of a Secret Wars thing, especially how important the family is. You want time. So I have a suspicion as to how maybe that kid comes about, but might not be the best idea. So I'm going to hold that to my chest. I'll admit if I was wrong, but I'll definitely admit if I was right. I don't really want to be right, but I have an idea. So yeah, Doom doesn't really show up in this movie until the end. You don't even see Robert Downey Jr. But man, the mask looks cool. The hood looks cool. I love that the first time we ever technically see him is him interacting with Franklin Richards. I think it's kind of weirdly wholesome because you know he's Doctor Doom, but Doctor Doom does actually have a soft spot, sort of. He's still really bad, but he's not the Red Skull, but he's bad. He's really bad, so that part's kind of cool. My favorite scene in this movie, two of them. One of them is them trying to fix the car seat at the end when they're like, wait, hold on, because they feel like such a family. There's so many good scenes. Like when the two of them are looking at Franklin with his two uncles, and they're like, yeah, like after the whole thing when they're preparing for the show. But then the car seat thing happens. It's like Franklin really makes them feel like a complete family. Like it's so perfect. And it's like, oh my God, this is so good. When they get introduced to Galactus, oh my God, it's so Jack Kirby, it hurts. It's so, the wires and the big pipes and the funky shit inside, you're like, oh my God, this is ripped straight out of Jack's stuff. And you're like, damn, this is good. But my favorite scene by far, and this is probably one of my favorite scenes in all of the MCU, I'm not kidding, is when Johnny comes in with the interrogation. He comes in with all the, dude, dude, because at first it was like playful, right? Like Johnny's chasing after the pretty hot girl, which, my God, she was fine. But like, he's chasing after her. It's Johnny, fine. You don't take it too seriously. And he's playful again when he sees her. Bro, when he comes in after and he berates her and he says, and now he's coming after my planets. I felt like Johnny was like, that's my nephew. You know what I mean? Like, he felt like an uncle who like got pushed too far. And he was like, because at first you're thinking, oh, he wants to learn the languages because he's motivated to save everybody, and also because hot girl, right? Because they joke around about that. But when it actually push comes to shove and he does it, oh, dude, he goes into uncle mode. He gets protect. He tries to get in there, and obviously he's not trying to be an asshole, but he's like, I know who you are. Like, I know how all this works, and I know you have the ability to help us. And god damn it, he's after my nephew. Like, help me. And when he says at the end, like, make me a herald, like, if that's what I can do, make me a herald. But the problem is, the same reason he really wants to do that in his heart is the same reason why Galactus will not allow that, and that's because of Franklin. So I thought that scene was the whole thing from beginning to end, when he chases her and then he starts activating the voice lines and all that stuff on the TV screens, till the very end when he offers, like, please make me a herald if it means I get to have my world and my nephew spared. I thought was amazing. I thought genuinely, I was like, this is my favorite thing I've seen from the MCU in a long time, dude. It was so good. It was so good because it took a left field. I was like, yeah, I get it. He's working on his own thing, but the payoff was, oh my God, I hadn't had payoff like that since like, and in the payoff I'm thinking of, like, since like Cap like got Mjolnir, and I'm like, well, like, that's amazing payoff, but that's not a narrative thing. That's more like, that is a narrative, but that's screenplay. That's a visual. You don't have Cap have an internal monologue explaining his whole life story. It's like, no, you see the journey in one film, and it's like not even through the whole film. It's like the first 2/3 maybe, and you're like, damn. We got to see a little bit of Ben. I'll be honest, I think Ben, while he is my favorite of the four of them, I think he's kind of the weakest, just because we don't really go into it too much, but he has some really good moments when he looks at Sue and he's like, you're pregnant. Like, as in, like, he knows, like a big brother almost, like he could tell. He's just like, are you pregnant? Like, and then his moment with the girl, obviously I'm like, I know who she is, orange hair and all that stuff, so I was like, fair enough. There was moments at that point, especially with him, particularly with Ben, I was like, I don't think their universe is going to get destroyed. I genuinely thought their universe or their Earth was going to get destroyed. I think it is very much whatever Doom is plotting is very just Doom. And they're just going to be separate until Secret Wars. I think that's just how it's going to go. It's very interesting they come to the 616 one, though. Like, very weird. Well, at least our version, the MCU 616, right? Like, it's interesting they do that, but yeah, we'll see what the reasoning is. We have to wait until Avengers to find that out. But Sue's, like, I don't know if I really buy into it, but I'm so glad it paid off, though. I don't buy into Sue's speech that everyone believes into it. Like, I love the speech. It was so, like, yeah, it's family, but I was like, the whole world is going to be like, she's right. She's right. We're family. And I'm like, okay, that takes a little bit of, like, there's a lot of disbelief there, but it's not a 10 out of 10 movie, right? Like, there's flaws here and there, but it's very well thought out, and I'm going to give it massive credits for it. It is very, very well thought out. They did not get overly ambitious, but they still surprised me, and I loved it. It was awesome. It's in my top 5 maybe favorite Marvel movies, I would say. Yeah. It's done so well for being an isolated movie, and I love that. It's not really like an MCU movie, and it gives me hope. So that I'm extremely excited for. So let me know down below what you guys thought about the movie. Obviously, listen, avoid spoilers as much as you can. But yeah, if you're looking forward to all the MCU content, and also DC content and all that stuff. The DCU looks very promising. I'm very hopeful. There's like two new beginnings, right, for these two sides of comic book movies, and I'm very hopeful for both of them. July has been a crazy month, and I'm pretty happy. But I have enjoyed them both thoroughly, and that's honestly all I could have asked for. So if you guys are excited for all that, you know what to do. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Hope you guys have a good one. Take care, peace, and goodbye.